So, hi Claire. Good to see you again, and thanks for joining the discussion really around your experience of the ALFA program. Maybe you could say a little bit about your own role, the organisation you're in, the background to you joining the ALFA, the sort of challenges that you face in the business.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, Richard. Um, my fancy title is Operations Director, Regulatory and Compliance. The reality is, I work in the early years sector, so we're looking after children 0 to 5, and my sole job is to ensure that every team member and child that turns up for either work or to access and use our facilities return home to their families at night, ensuring the highest set of standards, both with quality and ensuring all the regulatory requirements are met in full, and being a champion of going beyond the minimum standard. It's a nice title, but it's the role is for me far more impactful. Of I recognise I make a significant difference in how our business leads in the safety space, but also in the quality of what we provide our service users, which ultimately are children and our families.
That's great. Thank you very much for that intro. And you're a member of the Action Learning Facilitator Accreditation Program, the Postgraduate Certificate, and a great member to have joined the group. Can you tell us a bit about why you joined this particular program?
Yeah, so I've been on a leadership journey. So in the early years sector, it's not unusual for people to see as a really good career opportunity and progression. And as I progressed from being that early years educator, newly qualified some many years ago, through, it's got to a point now where I recognize my strategic responsibilities and my leadership skills needed to be broadened and perhaps consider other ways of tackling either challenging situations or difficult times, or just rethinking a different way we can do things. I'm very solution focused and will often jump into identifying how we can fix something, with perhaps utilizing the tools that I've got in my bag. And it was through my mentor who advised me and made me aware of the ALFA program and how transformative it was for her, and really made her, and it's a word I use all the time now, and it's since the introduction of the program, it made her curious. And that's definitely the space I would say I am in. The curiosity is significant. So some of the action learning we've been doing, and one of our most recent ones around the strategic orbit, it's left me after that session incredibly curious, and that stayed with me, and it's made me read and rethink, and also observe interactions of people in my workplace and the dynamic of them, and then I visually go back to my orbit and think about what does that look like and how do I move these people around to support effectively my question, and where should my area of focus be. So it's the introduction to the program. I was dubious in the initial sense. I don't come from an academic background, as so many people perhaps in certainly the early years sector. They go and do either an MVQ or a level 3 or an apprenticeship. Quite often is the route. We do have some wonderful graduates that work with us. So I was nervous with the anticipation, it being a postgrad course, what that would look like from an ability to meet the academic standards. And truthfully, I've just been blown away in terms of from the gathering of information and how we do that, through to the presentation that we need to do as part of the course, and how it really lends yourself to, if you are academic and want to go down that presentation style, you absolutely can. Equally, I would say that my verbal skills are far superior than my written skills. So I'm intending to, when I present, really lean on them skills I have with the knowledge that I've learnt over the start of the course. So I digress, but back to your question, I guess but that is true of action learning is there is such a broadness to it that you start by answering one thing and then before you know it you're looking elsewhere. So it was my mentor who really championed the course and how transformative it was for her, which is where the intro was. But ultimately, as facilitators, both yourself and Shell, for me, I feel really individual on this course. I feel my learning style is really supported, and the peers on my group set are fantastic, but they are so different to me. We are worlds apart from day to day, and our thinking style is really different, but that is only celebrated, and it gives me reassurance that I don't need to worry about the academic side, because who I am and how I show up will allow me to complete this course in my way, which is wonderful.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for all of that. And certainly, you've touched on what is really the ethos of the program, that it is underpinned by this principle of action learning, that the theory should follow the action, should follow real work that people are doing. And the design of it, as you well know, is that we early on encourage people to try and work out a question that they're going to focus on, and that becomes the core of their learning journey, really. So maybe you could just say a little bit about how your question has taken shape and what is the question that you're actually working on.
So the question has come in many formats just in the short space of time we've been doing the course, and I recognise that's through action learning, it's helped me really reduce it down. So we're at a point now where I'm considering how do I use action-based research to facilitate a shift in an early years culture, empowering our team to bridge the gap between policy and practice, and retaining a conscious safety first mindset during periods of really high complexity. So that sounds a lot, but trust me, it was about 2 paragraphs before that. And what's been most interesting with action learning and doing the action and then the theory is there's been lots of times where I've walked into a space and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. So the co-consulting space that we did, and I lent into it, and we had this fantastic session. And one of the key elements of that was hearing the group talk about your question with your camera off, no sort of responses given, and just really listening to what was said, and the power of allowing the room to talk freely without the sort of observation part of the individual bringing the question is definitely something that I will utilize and hold now in my toolkit as I move forward. The impact of that was I stripped out my question significantly from what was 2 paragraphs down to this, and I think it will get down even further through doing the knowledge mapping and looking at what the sky, the ground, and the underground factors are. And again, that's a process I've never used before, and that has really enabled me to look at who are them key stakeholders, what theoretical information is there around conscious mindsets versus that unconscious, and how people react in high complexity situations. But I'm also in the luxury position of I've got nearly 2,000 team members who work in this space every single day, and making sure actually the power of getting their voice, hearing their real life experiences, and how that also contributes to that overall question and then direction of the research. And so from that point of view, the question we have started working on is really looking at how do the theoretical elements of it translate into real practical tips or training we can then offer our team as a result of that, whilst listening to that real life experience. And we know that it would always be on the day that is the most disruptive, the most absent team members, when something's going to go wrong. It's never going to be on that perfect day. So how do we create and curate a space for team to operate under high pressure with a conscious mindset in them times?
That's great, thank you. And I'm really excited to see the journey continue now in terms of how you take this, great analysis and thinking that you're doing, a lot of systems thinking that we looked at in the last session, how you take that into the organization and engage other people with the process. What would be your advice, Claire, to other people who might be thinking about doing Alpha and wondering whether it's actually the right approach for them?
My advice would be to lean into it, to meet yourself and Shell, to arrange a call to understand more. I've only touched the surface on how transformative this course. I can see the trajectory for myself and my thinking by the end of the course. It will change me, and so it's more than just a certification at the end of it. And it's wonderful to say I will have a postgrad qualification, but it is more than that. I believe this will elevate me to that next level of a leader that I want to be, and how I want to show up. So my top tip would be to lean into it, and coupled with really holding the mirror up. So I came in with a clear mindset of, I don't know that I'm academic enough for this. I'm not sure I've had enough life experience for this. And it was actually through a session with Shell that she, rather than saying, oh no, you'll be fine, she really made me hold the mirror up to myself. Where was that coming from? And what work do I need to do on myself alongside the course to really get the most out of it? Which is why I know I will be changed, because it's not just about the question, it's about myself in that journey as well, and the two can't go uncoupled. So come prepared that you'll work on yourself alongside it, but in the best possible way.
Excellent, thank you. And you've really sort of got to the heart of what we set out to do when we first created the Action Learning Facilitator program many years ago. And it's evolved over time through experience and with a lot of help from some people like your mentor,
Yeah.
who's been an advocate and been through it and supported it in other organizations. So I really kind of look forward to seeing, how your question evolves, how other people engage with the process, and how, we can make a real difference. You can make a difference in what is clearly, a critically important field that you're working in the sector that you're working in. So thanks so much, Claire.
No, thank you for having me, Richard.
Pleasure.